The Klee of the castle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this beautiful world where we are just going to have a blast here with Klee in exploring the entire domain out of bounds. Now, for those of you that are in a bit of a shell shock, basically we are in a special area which is the Envisaged Echo Challenge for Klee. In case any of you were kind of confused, they added this area and obviously Albedo's Envisaged Echo in the Luna Free version, so this is absolutely brand new. And I just want to give a bit of a quick disclaimer. I don't know if this is part of the Luna Free story. I'm literally exploring this day one as this comes out, but what I can say is that it's an absolutely beautiful place. I mean, they've put in so much effort, as far as I can see, for just an Envisaged Echo Challenge, and certainly hopefully in the future we're going to get a bit more of this place. But honestly, it's just so magical, and it reminds me of the 2.8 summertime event where we had Fischl and all of her different castles, although the music and perhaps some of the lighting was a bit more softer and a bit darker, whereas the Klee's castle area here is a lot brighter. You've got the balloons, you've got the beautiful, like a little bit of a sunset, the fairy tale like elements. This certainly looks like a very, very fun place for a little monster like Klee to just go and explore. And just a little bit of a heads up here, well, as you can see already, the footage in the background is sped up because it can be frustrating if you see someone just trying to explore the place and you don't see anything interesting, but I'm trying my best to just balance it. So if you find an interesting view, do pause the video. But yeah, the one thing I noticed about Klee's special area is that you can't really leave the middle and that nothing is climbable. That was something that was really, really odd to me. And the other thing that was odd is that these little balloons, which you would assume would be like see-through and of which you could just fall through them, have actual collision. This is kind of astonishing. So if there's anywhere else in Genshin where these balloons pop up and they have collision, let me know, because this is the first that I see of them and this was kind of surprising to me. In any case, when it comes to the rest of the domain, here in the courtyard area where you begin the challenge, there's not really a lot that you can do with the exploration. The developers have gone out of their way to put barriers in places that don't even make sense for where you are, where you're supposed to be in the challenge area, because nobody is going to explore out here and hit this barrier wall because there's another barrier wall that prevents you from getting to the side, which I don't know what the devs are thinking, but maybe they had a plan and then they kind of changed the plan. Who knows what happens. In any case, you can see here me struggling with Klee, and then also, as you can see, yeah, there's the other barrier, just struggling, but in any case, it is what it is. As for the rest of the castles, this is the castle at the back that you can see here, and it's surprisingly detailed, although very oddly modeled, obviously incompletely modeled if you're at the back of the castle, because you're not supposed to see any of this. But what is interesting for me are these kind of, like, I don't want to say perspective lines, or these little wooden pieces of plank, because they're very stretched out. And I think what the developers try to do in areas like these is that up close, a lot of it doesn't make sense, but if you stand very, very far away, you get a very, very beautiful illusion of this castle just going on and on towards the back there, never quite seeing the horizon because it's supposed to be just outside of the rendering distance. And I think this is the one thing that's always so surprising. This is what I love about the out-of-bounds exploration. You can really tell how much effort is put in just to give you a holistic composition to look at. And whilst a lot of the geometry and the terrain and the stairs and everything really don't make sense from a practical or like a design perspective, from the perspective of you just being an onlooker and seeing the view, it makes sense. It actually works, and that is what I just find so amazing. And look, I'm not an artist. Maybe there are some people watching this that can appreciate it in a lot more detail, but I just find it interesting to see what the developers and their design process and thinking was when designing all of this. Needless to say, at the main castle, which you face when you kind of first load into this challenge, there's not a lot here at the top. There's no secret dungeon, although it would be so cool if the devs would just like put like a little sign up to say, hey, what are you doing here? I mean, imagine an Easter egg like that. It would be amazing. But yeah, there's just literally nothing. It's just a whole garbles of building on top of each other. So this is definitely not an area you're supposed to see. It's not an area that's supposed to make sense. But hey, at least when we drop down, we get a pretty gorgeous view. And I think for that view, I'll absolutely die. And look at this. We have this massive door and this small Klee. Once again, it's all about that perspective, because from a playability or from like a gameplay perspective or level design perspective, you're not really supposed to walk here, and as you can see, I kind of just fell off, which happened a lot in this area. Okay, let's start wrapping up. This is how the area looks like from very far away. Don't ask me how I get here. Surprisingly, there is not a death barrier very close by, so you can get very far out of bounds, which is really awesome. The area itself looks very Sri Lanka-ish in terms of its vibe, and especially from this far away perspective, you certainly get the idea that you're going to a mystical area there with Klee, which is so cool. And then finally, little edit to me here, I caught Klee with this very funny looking smile, so I just thought, hey, you know what, I'm gonna add this into the video. But yeah guys, that's it for Klee's Castle. If you've enjoyed it, let me know down below, and thank you so much for watching. Cheers!